Europe has 89,000 kilometres of coastline, and that coastline is home to countless communities. Millions of people depend on it for their livelihoods. It's also vital for the EU's economy, for trade, transport and fishing. But our coastline presents us with challenges, and it needs to be carefully looked after. The question we're asking today is, should that job be done by a European coastguard organisation? This week, the European Parliament's Intergroup on Seas and Coastal Areas has held a hearing to look at the possibility of creating an EU coastguard. It's an issue that's already been discussed among EU institutions, but should such a system be based purely on cooperation between national governments with their respective coastguard services working together? Or should it be formalised under the EU flag, creating a new service that takes on certain functions from the member states? One of the hearing's moderators is Salvatore Iacolino, an Italian MEP from our group. He's convinced the EU has a vital role to play in protecting and managing Europe's coastline, in collaboration with Frontex, the EU's border security agency.
It's a project which, together with the Commission and the Council, can really become an essential element in the powers of Frontex. We need to take this concept beyond voluntary cooperation between individual member states. We need to centralize activities and experience to enable more solidarity, compulsory in certain circumstances.
The recent political upheaval in North Africa has reinforced calls for the creation of an EU coastguard service, especially in Italy, which is where many refugees have tried to get to. Europe's coastline is a border, largely unmanned and relatively easy to penetrate. An EU coastguard could therefore have an important role in preventing illegal migration and helping to implement the EU's migration and asylum policy.
In my opinion, a European Coast Guard can become one of the tools that Frontex uses. When we revised the mandate of Frontex, we gave it more tools, more technical resources and more staff. This mandate, together with a stronger approach to protecting border entry points, will surely guarantee not just better collaboration, but also a more efficient management of migratory flows.
Protecting Europe's marine environment is a vital task for national coastguard authorities. This hearing has also been looking at the way in which an EU coastguard could help to prevent and act against pollution at sea. Combating illegal fishing has been another of the subjects covered here. Fish stocks throughout much of the EU are depleted. The EU manages the common fisheries policy, so many people think it makes sense for the Union to have a more formal role monitoring the policy at sea through an EU coastguard. Italian EPP member Crescenzio Rivellini chaired a session in this hearing on illegal fishing.
A coast guard, which is at the service of the organization responsible for combating illegal fishing in our waters, will certainly bring advantages. In particular, it will help all those fishermen who are working honestly, who see their livelihoods and profits threatened. But it will also be useful for protecting our environment.
So what do you want to see happen now to push this project forward?
I believe that greater controls require more involvement of the member states. So what I want to see is member states taking a step back and seizing the initiative after today's meeting. I want them to show a common will to build Europe bit by bit.
In many ways, our coastline is a common blessing, but it also presents us with common challenges, which is why it's important to develop common responses, maybe through an EU coastguard service. For more information on our group's activities, please visit our website, eppgroup.eu. Thanks for watching, and see you again soon.